everyone, welcome to another video. This is going to be more of another episode of Chronicles, episode I believe 4 at this point. And I never really talked about my experience on year 5, so I'm kind of going to go backwards to that year. And then also I'm kind of going to explain some things about what happened as far as like what I go through on a regular basis with just driving, and what caused my experience with year 5 to be so terrible. Because honestly, that was like by far my worst year. Honestly, I won't say everybody has that experience, but this is my experience as to what happened to me with truck driving. So basically, year 5 was my worst year because I decided to move, and so when I did move, it kind of put me in a predicament to where I had limited options as to what type of job I could get, and so I had to take what I could get. And at that point, it was kind of like me going backwards. Or actually, it was kind of like me going to a place I had that never even experienced, which was touching freight. So I went to a company where I had to touch freight, and I knew I didn't ever really want to do that, but it was kind of like the best option I felt like at the time that I had, because I didn't want to have to drive so far. And so I got there, I got the job. It took quite a bit of time for me to get that job position, which was crazy, but I ended up getting it anyways. And so they had like a 6-week training I had to go through to get to touch the freight and do all the different procedures they wanted me to learn and all that stuff. So I kind of found out, obviously, that I hated it. I really did hate touching freight, and it was not worth it, because at the end of the day, I was making pretty much the same, if not less, than what I was making not touching freight. That's what I didn't understand. I was like, why am I making the same amount of money pretty much, and I don't have to touch freight? I can pretty much drop a trailer and pretty much make just the same, if not more, to just not touch the freight. And that's what was happening. And so I'm that kind of person, when I do move around, I get very skinny. Like I lose a lot of weight, basically. And that's what happened. I lost, and I'm not even gonna lie, in 6 weeks, I lost like 12 pounds, and I wasn't even trying to. And it was because I was nonstop getting in and out of the truck, going to the back of the trailer, unloading the trailer. It was just a lot, and it was just not worth it. So I got to a point where, and then also, it was a long shift. Like the shift was so long, and even at the time I was still in training, so I was getting help. Now keep in mind, I'm getting help, and I'm still tired. I'm still losing weight. That was insane. So I finally got on my own, and they upgraded me to drive by myself as a solo driver to do the freight. And when I say, I just said like, no, this is not for me. It just so happened it was a guy there that spoke up for me. He told them like, hey, maybe you should put her on like the shuttle for night shift. Well, the only thing about issue with that, which is why I didn't actually take it initially, is because I don't like night shifts. Like, it's to each his own, but for me, I don't like night shift. I cannot operate. I can do early mornings, but night shift is like anything between, I want to say anything between 1 a.m. to I say 11 p.m. to like 2 a.m. I can't function. And that's what I did know about myself, but I still decided, okay, well, that could be better than me quitting the job completely, without having a backup plan, which I didn't have one. So I decided to go ahead and try it, and I was right. The days were good. And it was so crazy, I actually got paid more money to not touch the freight, which is what my whole point I was just saying, like, I was getting more money at the night shift driving, just dropping the trailer off, coming back. And I was just like, why is that? And they had a set rate, so even when I do the same turn once on the last day, I got the same amount of pay for what me doing it for twice, which that absolutely made no sense. That's why I'm like, I don't understand truck driving, because a lot of things that they do does not add up. Like, it does not add up with time, it does not add up financially, and it's like, I guess nobody's saying enough or saying anything at all, and they just accepting whatever they're taking. And that's the issue I've been noticing with truck driving in general. Like, so many people are just taking whatever they give them, and that's been causing drivers that don't want to do that or deal with, like me, we have to deal with that kind of stuff or get out of it. And so, being that I have figured out that I have to either accept what I'm getting right now or move on, I think I'm just going to choose the latter and move on. But I have to wait, because I need to, I've been saying in my last few videos, I'm trying to be more responsible and keep myself afloat. And like I said, I'm a single person, so I can't just be like, hey, I don't want to work anymore, and hope somebody going to take care of me. That's not going to happen. As a matter of fact, year 5 even more so taught me that. And yeah, so basically I found out that I just need to quit. I had to make a choice. I decided I'm gonna either have an accident if I keep trying, because I could tell I was very fatigued at night when I was driving. I would just almost fall asleep at this point. So I was like, you know what? Let me just decide to let this job go. So I took a hit and I did it. Well, the problem with that is I don't know if that's like a weird phenomenon that happens, but every time I've ever quit a job and didn't have anything bagged up beforehand, uh, trying to find another job, it was a situation. And that I literally thought, I said, well, maybe a month it'll be fine, and I had savings at the time, so I was like, okay, I should be good, I should be fine. Well, a month turned to 2 months, turned to 3 months, and I got sick. So it was just like, how I say, when it rains it pours. That's basically what happened. So finally I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to work. So I ended up getting a job, but it was a job I didn't want, a truck driving job I didn't want. It was I believe it was I want to say it was a regional position where I go to a certain, like, I think I went to Southeast, only to the Southeast states. Well, even with that, I didn't like it. I did not like the fact that I hate West Virginia. Like, I absolutely hate West Virginia. It's like this. It goes like this and down, and you can't put it in cruise control because when you think you're okay, next thing you know, it's a curve coming up, or it's a hill coming up, and it's incline or a decline, and you just got to keep going up. And so you're pretty much on your foot, on the pedal the whole entire way through West Virginia. I hated it. And then also my dispatch, they basically, we agreed to a certain days I was supposed to work. It did not go that way. I was supposed to be going. I was set to do Monday through Friday and then be off on the weekend. Well, that's not what happened. So I had to keep calling it every week on like Thursday or Friday. I said, hey, am I supposed to be off? Or can you get me back towards my house? And I had to fight that every single week. And I finally got to the point, I said, hey, I told the dispatch, I was like, why am I having to fight with you guys about me going home? I already had agreed when I first got hired that that's what my position was supposed to be. And so it kind of found out that the driver, I want to say the operations manager is what he was. He called me. He was like, oh, actually, you're an OTR. And I'm just like, no, I'm not. And he's like, yeah, you got hired on as OTR. I said, no, I didn't. I got the paperwork and everything. I'm talking about proof of it, emails and everything. And he still saying I was OTR. So I finally got to a point. I said, you know what? Don't worry about it. I'm just going to let the job go, and I'm going about my business. And so he kept calling back and said, hey, maybe you should think about it. See where, if you want to reconsider, I'm like, no, because there ain't nothing to reconsider. Unless you're going to reconsider saying that the agreement was 5 days a week and I'm home on weekend. Well, he never agreed to that. So I finally got to that point, I just let go. And so I tried to go to a different position, to a different job company, and they all kind of did the same thing. That's what I was trying to say too. Is like, no matter where you go, you're gonna have battles. You're gonna have to fight, and it's gonna be like, what is it worth for you? And for me, it was not worth it to be fighting with a person about something that I agreed to already. I already told you what I was supposed to do, and now you telling me something different. I'm not dealing with that. That's one thing I have a pet peeve about, is like somebody saying one thing and doing another, and then you act like you did not say it at all. Like, what is this? No, absolutely not. I'm not gonna fight with an adult about something that we already talked about. And it's in writing, and you still want to tell me you were reneging on that? No, absolutely not. So that year, it just was an up and down roller coaster for me. I go from one, and I had never thought I was gonna go through jobs like that. That's another thing about trucking. Like, I would tell anybody, do not do that. It's really difficult once you start jumping jobs, honestly, because they expect you to just deal with mess. I don't know why they think that, but that's what they expect. So a lot of companies, when I pick you up, if you go through the average company, I would say, if you go through anything over 3 companies in like a 2-year span of time, they really don't want to pick you up. When I say pick you up, I mean hire you for a position with them. Now, there are some companies that understand and say, hey, they pretty much desperate, I guess you could say, and they were like, hey, you can get up to 8, 9, companies, and we're okay with you. But them are usually like the companies that have high turnover rates, because the lanes they have options of accounts, nobody wants to do them because you're all over the place. Like, you don't know if when you're gonna come home, how long you're gonna be at home. It's just a lot. And most time we go do what they call a reset, 34-hour reset, which means that after you do your 70 hours that week, you pretty much max your clock out. You have to do a reset of 34 hours. You have to, no matter like what, you have to do 34-hour reset, which means that you cannot work or do anything on the job for 34 hours until your clock come back, back to the 70 hours. And so but even with that, they even when you go home, they still think you're supposed to come right back. I'm just like, I only been at home for not even a day and a half. Each time I come right back, that's not even worth going home for. Because at that point, more likely you're going to be on a weird day or weird time you get home. So you're not even going to be able to do anything or solve any problem that you may have when you get home. And that's kind of what was happening as well. And being that I live by myself, it was just a lot going on when I get back home. And I didn't say a lot, but it was things that I need to get done. I couldn't because I only had so much time. So by the time I get home, I just want to sleep. I just want to rest. I wanted to relax. And so I finally just got to a point. I said, you know what? I'm not going to take any more jobs on the road until I find a local position. Well, me doing that, it was not working out. It was almost, I'm not lying, about 6 months, probably about 6 months or more that I did not have a job, honestly, that was consistent. So I had to kind of go back to doing things I used to do, even just trying new things to try to, make a float. And I wasn't even getting a float at that point. So I was going through my savings account, and it was just a lot going on at the same time. And it was frustrating for me at that point. And I finally was just like, okay, let me just stop, pause, think about it, pray about it, and see if I can figure this out. So finally, I kept applying for jobs, kept, going back and forth about it, and I finally got a job position that kind of made sense, but it still put me in a predicament to a job that I really didn't want still, which is containers. And it was still local, but I still had to drive. I had to drive a distance like 45 minutes to get to the job because where I live in a rural area, so it's like you're going to have to drive to get to where you want to go. Otherwise, you got to do like dump trucks or something like that. And even with dump trucks, they don't pay as much. It just depends on company. Most companies average you at $20 an hour, $15 to $20 an hour as a dump truck driver. And they're going to, when I say hit you at 12, 14-hour shifts, but I guess at this point it don't even matter because all the jobs doing the same thing now. They're really trying to max your clock out. They're really trying to get the most out of you and don't pay you pretty much nothing for all that maxing out, and that's what's exhausting to me, is to try to deal with all this time I'm putting in, and I'm still finding myself struggling in some way or fashion, whether it's like mentally, emotionally, financially, some kind of way I'm struggling. And that's why I've been kind of saying I want to share my experience with people, because that way you get the reality of what could happen. I'm not gonna say it's gonna happen to everybody, but the way I've been hearing other drivers tell me the same thing about what they've been going through, their struggles and everything, is pretty similar across the board. And then I've been hearing about this artificial intelligence they're trying to deal with the driving, the self-driving trucks. If we already have issues with a human being, why does that make sense to think you're gonna have an imperfect person to create something artificial that's gonna be efficiently running? Does that make any sense to you? And no, the answer ain't rhetorical. I mean, the question is not rhetorical. I don't get it. Like, when I say a lot of things about this world and this life and just driving trucks in general, I just don't understand. And the practicality is just not there. Like, nothing about it is logical. It just looks like we're having all these shows already. I've been hearing so many stories about, they call them, I guess, CDL factories, where people get their CDL just handed to them, basically, which I can see that being a situation, honestly, because I have seen some men drive that I know. I'm like, there is no way you were trained. Like, there is no way. Thankfully, the only thing saved me is the fact that I'm pretty good at, like, catching all the things myself and using my own, discernment and intelligence to try to figure things out. And I'm also trying to be humble to ask questions, right? That's nothing that most people don't want to try to do, is like be humble enough to say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I need help. They'll just do it and mess up something, and now you're like, oops, I'm sorry, I didn't know this, that, and other. That's not going to help you, right? Because that's nothing about truck driving that's a reality check for drivers. More times than not, they're going to always blame the driver for whatever it is. Whatever happens to the truck, whatever happens on the road, more times not, whether it's the company itself, other people, lawyers, whatever it is, they're going to always fault the driver. You ever notice you see signs on the side of the road saying that if you have been hurt in a truck driving incident, please call us? That means you automatically assuming the truck driver did it. Like the little four-wheelers can't be the one driving. When I say four-wheelers, I mean regular car, Class D drivers didn't do something stupid. Or even other drivers that did it, But at the same time, to automatically say that the truck driver did it, that's real shady. Like, that's some shady stuff right there, right? And that tells you right there, like, that's why I said we don't get paid enough for all the mess we deal with. So to deal with all the stuff we got to deal with on a regular basis already, and then now we got to get blamed for every single thing that happens on the road, right? That's what a commercial driver's license is. Because when you hear commercial driver's license, they try to basically say you're supposed to know better than everybody else. Any driver or any person that got any kind of motor vehicle that has a motor in it can cause an accident, can kill somebody, can hurt somebody. So what are you saying? That absolutely makes no sense to me. None. But that's what we deal on a regular basis, and then we don't get paid for that, right? Even school bus drivers, I feel so bad for them because most of the time they really don't get paid for what they deal with. And the student, for every student that's on that bus, say for instance something happens, they're getting a count for that. Say for instance they have an accident and they try to blame them for it. Every single child and person on that bus, they gonna get one count for each one of them when it comes to going to court for that, right? Say if they kill every person on the bus. That's 15 people on that bus. That's 15 counts of possible manslaughter or whatever, first degree murder, whatever, right? That person ain't getting out. But that's the reality, and that's why I'm saying they don't even pay for that. Nothing is worth somebody dying anyway. But to even more so say I get paid more at a Amazon, Walmart, just at a store or whatever, or a factory, and we have all these restrictions and regulations and laws and stuff that we have to be under, and we get pretty much similar pay as the person that's basically at a warehouse. That makes no sense. It makes no sense. But that's our reality. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to share you guys what happened my 5th year and how the struggles I had, and also just being a driver in general, what happens with the issues that we do go through and the reality of it. And I just want to wake people up to say, hey, like, can y'all at least like be more considerate on the road? Because that's what I don't understand either. It's like we already have issues already. Don't be one of those people that cause more issues for a person, a driver, whether it's a 4-wheeler or a big truck. Like, just be considerate. What's wrong with being nice to someone, right? That's what I had learned about driving as well. It causes stress. People don't want to be nice anymore. Like, people want to be selfish and drive out there on the road by themselves. I don't understand that. But that's the reality we live in, the world we live in now, and it's very disappointing. It is. But I'm gonna get off of here and hopefully I get to go home soon, which I probably will, because we don't have once again enough loads today. So that's also why I'm just sitting here. I got one load. This is my last load I have today, and I'm taking it back to the yard, and I'm done for today. But that's a discouragement I have. So I'm just trying to stay positive and be a person that, try to keep going forward and hope that things will get better for me. And that only way it does is like if, one person like me say, hey, I'm not gonna be like everybody else, right? So if one person does that and people keep doing that over and over again, maybe it'll get to a point where people make more sense of their life or the situations, with other people. Maybe, I don't know, but that's all I can do is really hope and be a person that be the change that I wish to see in the world, and I hope others start seeing the same thing, But it was nice talking to you guys, and I hope you guys have a great day. I have been having a great day, and whatever problem you are having, I hope that you can find a way to find the strength to keep going. So, because I'm trying to do the same thing. So you guys have a good day. Later.